Hello and welcome back to my channel, guys. I figured I would take the time that I do have to like sit down and give you a little update on Beckett. He is 9 weeks old, almost 10 weeks old, but this isn't really going to be like a 2-month update or whatever it is. I did like a 6-week update a couple weeks ago. It went live, but things have changed a lot since then. But I'm mostly going to be giving an update on us and breastfeeding and just his whole stomach issues. Okay, so let's back up some. If you did not see the 6-week update, I'm going to give you a little bit of a recap on what you'll need to know in order to be caught up for today. So when he was 3 weeks old, I was noticing symptoms that we saw in our daughter, who is 3 now, when she was going through like acid reflux struggles and things like that. So I took him to the doctor and just said, look, I think he might have acid reflux like his sister. We're seeing him arch his back. He's constantly drooling. He's very congested. He's spitting up. He's super uncomfortable right after he eats. He's just overall wiggly and fidgety and gassy. And our doctor, who we love, she actually just left. And I'll get into that in just a second. But she totally trusted me as a mom, which made me feel so good. And she's like, no, yeah, that's exactly what it sounds like. I'm just gonna go ahead and put him on some acid reflux medicine. So she put him on a medicine called famotidine, and he takes 0.4 milliliters of that a day, and that has been keeping his acid reflux at bay. He was also on a probiotic, which seemed to help, and from about weeks 4 through about 8, I guess, he was pretty happy, pretty comfortable. The probiotic was working really well. The acid reflux medicine was working really well. We weren't seeing the fussiness. He was content to like play on the floor and not have to be held all the time. And so we were like, oh good, that's exactly what it was. Fast forward to the end of like 8 weeks, beginning of 9 weeks, and he's extremely fussy again, extremely gassy, just overall not happy. And so me, immediately I'm like, and you'll see it in the last vlog that is going up tomorrow for me, so I don't know when this is going to go up for you, but in the last vlog I say, he's been really upset today. I don't know what I ate. It must be something that I ate. I ate something that upset his stomach, which is kind of the first thing that you always think of when you think of like breastfeeding. And well, for me anyways, anytime he's fussy, I'm like, oh, what did I do? What did I eat? What, oh goodness. Okay, I think he's settled again. Anyway, so I was, like, what did I eat? Was there something that I ate? Did he eat too much garlic? Did I have beans? What did I eat that could really be upsetting his stomach? And before he had been diagnosed with like acid reflux or GERD, I had thought maybe it was dairy. So I like very gently started to get rid of dairy. Like I wasn't getting cheese on burgers and stuff like that, but not to the extent of like going dairy free. So then that was Monday. On Wednesday, he had his 2-month appointment. And like I said, our pediatrician had just left, so we were seeing a new pediatrician in the same practice. And anyway, so that's to note later. But we go in, they take his weight, and I remember the number because they do it in kilograms. They lay him on it. I see the number pop up. I keep it in my brain. Immediately once the nurse had left the room, I was going to Google, like trying to do the conversion from kilograms to pounds. And I saw that he was about 9.1 pounds. And in my mind, I'm thinking, that's awesome. It took him 3 weeks to a month to get back to his birth weight of 7 pounds even. This is great. Like, he's gained a lot. This has been perfect. I'm thinking they're going to come in and be like, he looks great. He's very happy when he's not gassy, especially when he wakes up in the morning. He is so happy, like just smiling all the time and recognizing faces, because he will smile at me, if I may toot my own horn. I can basically get him to smile whenever. Anyway, or maybe it's voices that he recognizes. So I thought, oh, we're in the clear. This is going to be awesome. Well, the doctor comes in and he immediately like barely greets me and says, so he's underweight. He is in the 1 percentile, not 1-0, not like 5. He's in the 1 percentile. And I'm thinking, how? Like, this baby to me does not look malnourished. He doesn't look starving. He doesn't look scrawny. He's not acting like he's hungry. He sleeps really well. But he just kept saying, you know, he's underweight. I don't like the way he's not gaining as well as he should. He started asking me questions about like his diapers and how often I nurse, and did I think it was a supply issue, and do I pump? And he wasn't very friendly either. Like, he had no bedside manners, probably the best way to put it. And so I was just like in shock, because I thought there's no way that there's gonna be anything wrong with this child. Avery was a lot more unhappy than he is. But that's beside the point. I was just kind of shocked. And so I said, okay, so what can I do? And he was like, well, you know, some babies just gain weight really slowly, but he is underweight. And he just kept saying the word underweight and kept saying he's not gaining the way I think he should. And I wanted to punch him in the face by the end of it, because he just kept saying that. And that's true, I know that now, but he didn't give me any suggestions on what to do. I kind of offered up like, well, because he said, how was your daughter fed? And I said, she was formula fed. I said she was on Nutramigen because we thought she might have a dairy allergy or a dairy sensitivity. And he's like, well, that could be the same thing with him. So I said, should I cut out dairy? And he's like, yeah, I guess you could do that. Yeah, go ahead and try and cut out dairy. I'm like, okay. And he's like, you don't have to do all of it. Just, you know, you can do some dairy. But in my mind, I'm thinking, well, what is some versus all? So I left feeling so discouraged. I'd also told him that TMI, I'm going to talk about baby poop here. So, I mean, but you're clicking on a baby update. So you should expect something like that. Like, his diapers are super mucousy. He's never had any kind of like solid at all. It's like pure consistency of snot diapers since he was born, after the meconium. But since the meconium, it's been like pure mucus diapers. They're bright orange. And when I say bright orange, like, this is mustard yellow. They are bright orange. I wish I had a color that I could show you, that I'm like, this is what his diapers look like. Anyway, and so I told him that, and he's like, yeah, that doesn't seem right, but, you know, some babies just don't gain like they should, and I guess, yeah, you should probably cut out. Like, he just seems so nonchalant. And he's like, okay, so we'll see you at 4 months. And I'm like, okay, like, you don't have anything for me? Like, what should I be doing to help with this? Oh, and I asked him, do I need to let him sleep through the night? Like, he's sleeping through the night. Should I let him keep doing that if he's underweight? And he's like, oh yeah, if he's sleeping through the night, let him sleep through the night. Okay. Get in the car and I'm just bawling. Goodness, he is so fidgety right now. You okay? He's like, no, you have this blanket over me. Anyway, and so I'm bawling. I'm calling Robbie, and I'm just like shocked, beside myself, shocked, because here I am thinking that everything was great, especially after I did the conversion myself. Woohoo, he made it to 9.1 pounds, and turns out he's in the 1 percentile. He's in like the 30-something percentile for his height. He's like grown 4 inches since he was born, so I don't know, but I went home. I wasn't feeling great about it. Talked to like some friends who breastfed. Talked to Robbie, my mom and dad, his parents, just kind of like venting about it, and kind of came to the conclusion that I needed to do 2 things. Robbie and I came to this conclusion, not just me. He's very supportive, very helpful, but also like, I don't know, he's a great dad. So I come to the conclusion that I need to call lactation and just see if I could come in to see if maybe there was something with my latch, so he wasn't transferring the milk the way he should. Just make sure everything's good there. And B, I needed to call and get in with a doctor that's in our practice, but is different from the first doctor that we had just seen. Not our first pediatrician that I loved, this new guy that we had seen for his 2 months. So the next day I call, or Monday. It took us a couple days to kind of make the decision. Monday I call to get an appointment, and I call lactation. Turns out everything is good with lactation. They're like, you don't need to come in. It sounds like everything, just from what you're telling us, is fine. It sounds like it's more of like a him issue, not a you issue. So talk to the doctor. If the doctor wants you to come in and see us, like, totally. Okay. So anyway, I call and get an appointment with another doctor in the same practice in San Antonio. Loved her 2 pieces. She was wonderful. She was understanding. She listened. She explained things thoroughly. She was encouraging. But by the time we had gone in, it was less than a week later, and he had lost weight. So he had gone from being 9.13 pounds to like 9 pounds even or something. And she was like, you know, it's not a lot. It's not anything we'd really worry about normally, But because he's already underweight, we don't want him losing anything at all. Okay, I'm gonna give him a little bit of a break because I can tell that he's currently filling a diaper. So let me just kind of burp him for a second. Anyway, hello. Hi, buddy. Did you have a good nap? Did you have a good nap? Yes. Phew, that was a stinky burp. Stinky burp, buddy. Here. I really don't want you to poop on me, but it's okay. Are you a little cold? Let's cover up. He is totally filling a diaper, so please excuse that, but this sounds different from normal. Anyway, so I loved her to pieces. She told me, yes, he is underweight. Yes, he's now like in the negative percentiles. But we're gonna get this fixed. She was really amazing. She's like, first I put you in a referral to the GI specialist in San Antonio so that he can take a look at him and see if he can figure out exactly what is causing the issue. She said, I can do all the guessing that I want to, and I can do as much as I can to help you, but he's gonna be able to pinpoint it exactly. She also told me to stop dairy and stop soy, like completely. Not a kind of sort of like don't eat ice cream and don't get cheese on your burger. Like check labels, no dairy and no soy. One thing that I should mention is, like I said, Avery, our daughter, was formula fed, and I enjoyed formula feeding with her. She needed the formula. My mental health, I needed to formula feed. Like that was just the best option for that child and feeding her for her first year of life. With him, I started breastfeeding in the hospital, and he took to it like a fish to water, and I really found that I was enjoying breastfeeding, and I didn't want to stop, and I still don't want to stop. I really enjoy it, and not to mention it's much cheaper to breastfeed, especially nowadays. Let me zoom in a little bit. Anyway, so I told her I was in there bawling. I don't know what is up with me, but probably just because I'm stressed out. But she's like, okay, so I hear everything that you're saying, but what has you the most upset? What are the tears coming from? Like, what are you most upset about? And I told her that I really didn't want to stop breastfeeding, and I was afraid that this was the end of our breastfeeding journey. She was amazing. She said to me, now listen, I've been in practice for 25 years, and in those 25 years, I've only told someone to stop breastfeeding twice, and both times it was for the mother's mental health because they hated breastfeeding. She said, if you like breastfeeding, continue to breastfeed. Just cut out all dairy, cut out all soy. Just know it's going to take 8 to 10 weeks for it to be completely detoxed from both of your systems, for you to see like differences in his diapers and things. But it may be a little harder, but if you want to breastfeed, then breastfeed. And I was like, oh, that made me feel so much better. So she told me to go see the GI, and we already have an appointment. Like, she put the referral in, we had the appointment the next day. She was fabulous. And so was the office. A lot of that is the office too. But she told me to be breastfeeding or bottle feeding, and we'll get to that in a second, every 2 hours, except for at night. At nighttime, he can go like 3 to 4 hour stretches, as long as we're feeding him 10 times in a 24-hour period. So before that, it was 6 to 8 times, and now we are doing 10, if not more. And the last part of it was she actually asked me to supplement. And when she said those words, I didn't freak out and like, ooh, start bawling, start crying. Maybe that was because she gave me samples of the formula and it's not so expensive, but he's also on Nutramigen, just like Avery was on, and she gave us 3 cans of it. And it wasn't like it was the end of the world, because in our like feeding journey, the majority of what he's getting is still breast milk. It's just a little extra calorie bump, as she called it, twice a day. So he eats 2 bottles. We've been doing it the past like couple days or so at like his noonish feed, and then at his dream feed, as we call it, which is like at 11 or 12. So he eats 2 ounces of Nutramigen, and then the rest is breastfed around the clock. Around the clock. So we saw her, today's Thursday, and I saw her on Tuesday, so it's really only been like 2 days, but we started the formula and like feeding every 2 hours and all that kind of stuff immediately. And in that time, we have a scale. We bought a scale, and I know our scale may read differently than her scale, although it's like specific for babies, it's specific for wiggly babies, yada yada yada. And it shows that he's gained like 8 ounces in the last 2 days. So isn't that great? It's so great. It's so great. Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna chunk you up. Are we gonna chunk you up? Yeah. Let's get chunky. Let's get chunky. He's so happy. Uh-oh. Are we gonna pit up? We've seen a lot more spit up the past 2 days, but I think that's because there's just a lot more in his tummy. And I was telling my mom today, like, we're eating every 2 hours during the day and doing, you know, night feedings too, or waking him up to eat. You are so funny. You're just so funny. Oh goodness. Push it out. Anyway, yeah. Oh, do you want to say? Go ahead. You tell him. Yeah. And he's pretty happy. Like, he was like this before too. Like, he's a happy baby, but I really think we are really filling a diaper. Are you so funny? Are you stinky boy? Are you stinky boy? So stinky. So stinky. Whew! Yes, I'm gonna have to go change the diaper in just a second, so I don't even remember where I was. Oh, but he's been a little more spit-uppy lately because, or the past 2 days, I think because he's just eating so much more. And I was telling my mom that I feel bad, like, waking him up to eat, because sometimes I, like, picture the scene of the Grinch, not the animated Grinch, the Grinch with Jim Carrey. Is that what it is? I think it's Jim Carrey. And when they're, like, feeding him the food at the holiday something something, he says holiday hoobie whatty. But when they're feeding him that food, he's like, no more, and they're like shoving it in his mouth. That scene always makes me so sad. And sometimes I kind of feel like that because we'll wake him up and he's like, oh, kind of like, oh, again. Like, you can tell he's so full. But it's doing his job. It's doing its job. So that's kind of the update. We go see the GI on the 25th of July. So I will, and maybe even earlier, we're on their cancellation list too. The really cool thing is that the doctor that he is seeing, his GI, is the same doctor as my good friend's daughter. She had her a month after I had Avery, and I just remember like Marco Poloing and talking to her, and she was having lots of struggles with feeding and breastfeeding and the baby's like stools, and I just remember being like, wow, that's really crazy. And that's exactly what we're going through right now. Hers was a little more severe, but it's the same GI, so I'm excited. I immediately reached out to her, and she loves this doctor, so I'm excited about that. One thing that was kind of shocking to me is I was looking at the referral the other day, and it says on there, like, reason for referral or diagnosis, and his said, like, failure to thrive. When I saw that, I was shocked, because he's like a happy baby, and he's happier than Avery ever was as a baby. Like I said, he's not like tiny. He's just not gaining the way he should. But anyway, I'm anxious to get that diagnosis off the referral. I want him to thrive. So one thing I loved about the doctor that I saw on Tuesday was she reassured me that it was nothing to do with me or Robbie. It was nothing to do with the way that we are parenting or raising him or taking care of him. And it's nothing to do with like my breastfeeding journey. This is just something that's just not connecting, and that it's all gonna get figured out. So I will keep y'all updated as we like navigate the waters of like bringing his weight back up and being dairy free and soy free. And there's gonna be a lot of things that may be hard. Like I'm going on a cruise in October, and being dairy free and soy free, that may be a little bit more difficult, but it's definitely worth it in order to keep breastfeeding. So right. Oh, buddy. Okay, I'm gonna go change a very stinky diaper, and hope that it hasn't leaked through, because yesterday it did. Yesterday we had a very interesting day. It was full of bodily fluids. Not only did Avery have an accident out of the blue, but he had a huge blowout, and then at one point I was changing his diaper and also looking down the hallway to look for Avery, and I heard a noise which can only be described as water hitting a wall. He was peeing over his head onto the wall behind him, and I was like, oh my gosh. When I did that, scared him, jostled him, and then he was peeing on his forehead. Oh my gosh, and he had a bath. Anyway, I'm gonna go try and change this before we have another blowout. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks for tuning in with us. If you had some sort of similar experience with one of your little ones, let me know. Send me some tips in the comments. You want some tips too? Yeah, okay. But we want to thank you guys. I want to thank you guys so much for watching today. And until next time, I love you all and God bless you.
I know it's nothing new, but it's so good to see you. We do this every day, and I'm still so amazed by you.